Hey friends, and welcome back to another pottery template tutorial. Today we are making a really classic piece. We are making a cereal bowl, something that everyone needs in their kitchen. So first things first, you want to cut out the templates, and then we're going to need to paste together a few of these templates. So just use some tape, line up the edges where it says attach here, and tape together CB1, CB2, and CB4. Next, we're going to roll out some clay. So the entire template today is going to be made with 1/2 centimeter thick clay. So some of these pieces are really quite long, and I wasn't able to fit the CB2 and CB4 template pieces onto my slab. I didn't roll in enough clay, so I'm going to show you a trick for how to use the slab and make it a little bit longer. But first things first, I'm going to cut out the templates that do fit on the slab CB1 and CB3. Next, we're going to take the remaining pieces and line them up so that they are long enough. And then I'm going to just score the two edges so that we can kind of paste them together. And then if we roll it out again, it should make that seam pretty much disappear. You might still be able to see it a little bit. That's totally fine. Like once the piece is completely done and smoothed out, I promise you the seam is pretty much just going to disappear. So now I like to put my pieces in front of the fan for a few minutes before I start. This is especially important for large pieces because the wetter the pieces are, the floppier they are. So if you're noticing that your pieces are a bit floppy as you're working with them, just go ahead and let them dry out a little bit more. All right, we've moved on to putting the first piece together. So this is the CB1 piece, this is the bottom of the bowl, and you'll want to cut the two straight ends at a 45-degree angle and score. Then you want to overlap them and blend the seam. Okay, we're moving on to the cereal bowl top. So make sure you're grabbing the right rectangle here. You want to take the thicker rectangle, which is CB2. This is what we're going to be working with next. So you want to cut these two short ends at a 45-degree angle, score and slip if needed, and attach these two together in a ring shape. Now we're going to attach these two pieces together to bring a little bit of height to our bowl. So we're going to score each side that are going to be connected and slip if necessary, and just very gently lay this ring on top. Now these should line up. There are a couple of instances that might occur that would make them not line up. One being if you don't use the right 1/2 centimeter thickness of clay. Of course, you can alter the template to make it work here, but that will throw off the measurements just a little bit. Another thing that can happen is while you're working with the slab, these long, thin slabs tend to stretch out if you're moving them around too much. So if you have a little bit of extra clay here, just cut off some extra and, resize it so it will line up. Okay, now we are ready to attach the bottom. So the bottom, as you'll notice, is always a little bit bigger than the walls of the pot. So you want to just set it on the bottom here and trace where it's going to line up. I always make the bottoms a little bit bigger, about 1 centimeter bigger, just because it's always easier to attach first and then trim to that perfect size. A few taps always helps. And then you want to trim off the excess. And blend. Okay, lastly, we're going to be working on the rim. So this part is for sure optional. If you don't want to have a little extra thickness in the rim, you can totally skip this part. But I think that the rim is really nice because it gives the pot a little bit of personality. As you saw, we're going to start by scoring the two sides. So you want to score down from the top of your bowl about 1 centimeter. And then of course, score also the slab piece that you're going to attach. Use some slip if you need to. And then slowly just start working it in. Now, the key here is to not let any air bubbles get trapped while you're applying it. So you wanna push it down like piece by piece, step by step, and just work it all the way around. And once again, it should line up here, unless it got a little stretched out, or maybe you're using slightly thicker clay. But this is something that's really easy to resize if it's not fitting just for you. If it's too short, you can stretch it out by rolling it out with a rolling pin. If it's too long, well, you just cut it. Once it's blended and looking good, we're going to set it aside for the evening. So I always like to let my pieces dry a little bit before putting in the final touches. This part is totally optional. You can totally skip this part. I just find it easier to get my lines really crisp and tidy. It's what I like to do. So the next day it's leather hard, and I just go in with a rib, with my finger, with maybe a little bit of water, and just tidy it up to the point that I'm happy with it. Okay, my bowl is now done, so I'm going to set it aside to dry, and once it's fully dried out, I'll put it into the kiln for the bisque fire. And then I'm going to be applying our classic white glaze to the piece. Make sure you wipe off the bottom, and back into the kiln it goes. All right, friends, I'm so happy with this piece. This is just like such a classic shape. I've been meaning to make a bowl for a really long time, and honestly, it took quite a few prototypes to get this to the point that I was happy with it. What's cool about this piece is it's sized perfectly for a cereal bowl, but this bowl can be sized up or down infinitely. So you can size it up and make it into a fruit bowl. You can size it down and use it like as a salt bowl. You know, it's just a really simple classic bowl. So it can be used for so many things. I'm so excited to see how you guys decorate these pieces, how you personalize them and glaze them. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.